Well, this place down here is kind of disappointing. There's not even anything really good, except for maybe these solar panels up here and these over here. And all of these zombies getting in the way. I think we're done down here for right now. This is just irritating. And most irritating of all is what happened to the bicycle. Going to need to figure out a way to either repair it or replace the parts now. That is if we want a decent bicycle. Oh, look at this. It's a good thing we even have a bicycle at this point. I suppose that's one reason to be thankful. Oh, and you can see here they've torn this to shreds. And that car might have had some useful components in it. And then they destroyed it. Oh, well, mostly destroyed it. I remember this. This is a mark that we're close to home. Now look at all this. I'm not sure I can make that gap. Or that I should even try. So I'm going to go around. Ow. That turned faster than I thought it would. Oh, and look who else it is. Now we're just going to quickly clear some of the area around our territory. And that's another thing, I want to expand my territory. It's about time we start taking the fight to the zombies. It's time to bring the apocalypse to them. And they've been nothing but a nuisance this entire time. Here we are again. Look at how many windows are in this living room. A zombie could come out of any one of them. This is probably the least secure room in the entire house. This one was one of the most secure and it still got broken into. I wonder how it even figured out that I was here. Or was it by accident, possibly? I want to board up this window to make sure that nothing comes through that now. Absolutely a disgrace that this is so unfortified. There. Much better. Just going to pile up all of my hoardings into this heap on the ground. I'm trying to remember all of the things that I want to keep with me while I'm going around. This cordless drill is definitely not one of them. I don't even remember if I've found anything that takes a cordless drill to do. Oh yeah, I remember. I have this really nice shotgun and this nail gun that I can use. Hold on, let's take a look at the nail gun. Capacity 20 rounds. 0 damage on its own. 0 damage modifier, I should say. The total damage dealt by the weapon is the damage of the weapon plus the damage of the ammunition used. And I think it's the same thing for armor piercing and dispersion. Yeah. And so, picking a good ammunition for a bad weapon can actually make the weapon a lot more useful than it would otherwise be with a bad ammunition. And the same can be true with a good weapon and a bad ammunition. But enough about that. Taking a look at the actual nails we can use, which is in this list somewhere here. It says they all do 4 damage each with 3 armor piercing. That's good. With a range of 3. Hold on a second, the range. This has a range of somewhere in here. Does it not have a range modifier? If that's the case, then in total the range would be 3, because the range modifier of the weapon would technically total to 0. And so, if we can only fire in a radius of 3 around us, then that would mean that we would need to make this into it's somewhere in here, the nail rifle, which has a range of a 3 modifier, so it could have a range of 6. Yes, and this technically also requires a magazine for it to be made. And this isn't the only type of weapon that takes the nail type ammunition. There's also the coil gun, which I really liked in another character. The problem with the coil gun is it takes charge, which is irritating. I need to carry around a giant battery with me everywhere, and still have to spend nails, so I have to have technically 2 types of ammunition. And that's just cumbersome. Actually, in weapons, yes, in magazines we can see the nail rifle magazine. It takes a spring, and I don't think we even have a spring. And of course duct tape, which is rare. And so that's, I'm not even sure that's worth it in the early mid-game. In the early game you can't even afford to use it, so that's definitely not worth it. And what's even the point? Now, taking care of the needs, like it's The Sims. I'm not saying that The Sims is a bad game. In fact, if The Sims was more like this game, I think it would be even better. I was putting away these things and getting sidetracked. It's nearly nighttime. Actually, I just had a thought. We have 124 nails and 67 boards. We could try boarding up the rest of these windows. That would be a fun project, wouldn't it? Actually, before we do that, we should do salvage operations. And before we do that, we should do clearing. Although clearing at night is a horrible idea. That's one project to think about. We still have these other special salvage operations to do at these target locations. But a lot of those require tools we don't have. However, since we have this wrench now, we can do solar panel salvaging early so that we can get a hold of those preemptively for the future. But we still need, actually, this is screw driving, but as metal sawing is only level 1, we need a hacksaw or something like that that is level 2 in order to fully disassemble things. And I think there's a third tool we might need. We have bolt turning, we are going to get metal sawing. I don't remember what or even if there was a third tool, I might just be thinking of the welding that's used to put on parts instead of taking them off. But either way, we're pretty close to being able to do vehicles now, especially with our mechanics level 3, as we can see here. I hate overshooting. Here. Fabrication is strangely low for this part of the game. Usually I level that really high to begin with in order to get good craftables early on. Let's actually just spend some time doing this clearing and salvaging while it's still daytime. Look at all these bodies everywhere. It's like a war zone, and it's right outside our house. And that's what I mean by reinforcing this. They could just break straight through this if they wanted to. Look, the worst type of enemy. And we don't even have a very good weapon to deal with it. The best thing we have is probably this hatchet. Thinking about it, we might want to carry a sidearm. I'm going to finish what I'm saying before I react to this. We might want to carry a sidearm for specifically those high armor enemies, like the skeleton dogs and the regular skeletons. Just all those really bad armored enemies. With another character I had a 12 gauge pistol that I found. that was perfect for that, and I carried around a lot of shotgun shells with it in order to deal with those, and I only used it for that, which worked perfectly. A perfect example of situational weaponry, by the way. Now about this. 4 have already noticed me, and they're going to be drawn up here by my presence. I'm going to need to deal with those eventually. Oh look, they're already moving up really fast. How many? Only that many. And if they make too much noise, that's going to draw even more. So I'm going to want to draw them all the way up here to deal with them. That entire horde is going to be a problem. And see, this is... Oh, look! I hate these zombies. Oh, look, one was already... That one probably went straight through the house, so that's 3 broken windows at least. Yeah, we're... probably the worst thing that could have happened. I only have 24 arrows remaining in us. Still more to salvage on the field. We're just attracting everything. And look, most of these are reanimated from those turrets. Yeah, I know exactly how this happened. Ow. Acid. So what happened was the turret killed a horde of zombies, and then that horde of zombies reanimated after the turret got destroyed, and so there was a horde remaining there. Something I didn't even care to think about or consider. And so now, you look through there. So now that horde's just going to stay there for... Oh look, it's already getting dark too. Fortunately, they can't see us in the dark. Or at least not the regular ones. The shaded ones can, which is even worse. As if it couldn't get any worse. Well, at least they tore down the curtains for me so I wouldn't need to do that myself. I don't want to disassemble any of my own furniture. I like having my house the way it is. I suppose I can salvage in the dark. And just hope that nothing finds me. Also, I'm going to need to make more arrows soon. Oh yes, look in here. This is something... No wait, over here, the couch. This is something to start with. Also, pro tip, in this list, if you're somewhere down the list and you want to get to the top quickly, just press right and then left, and then it brings you back to the top, because it always starts you at the top of any of these lists. And at the top of each, at the top of the primary list, the all list, is deconstruct furniture, which is what we're going to be using right now. Just quickly get this trash out of the way. And this is 36 boards right here, all by itself. And there's so many more to salvage. Now, how many does it take to board up a window again? 8. 8 boards. No wait, 4 boards and 8 nails. I was reading that wrong. So we're actually better off than I thought we were. We could actually probably, with how many we have right now, board up a lot of the rest of these windows. So it's not nearly as dire of a situation as I thought it was, thankfully. So I'm going to start with the living room here. Oh, look at that, we only just now ran out of boards to use. This is going to be really easy for once. Always remember to lock up the base behind you so that nothing just wanders in. This is going to be a really productive day, I can already feel it. That's the most ramshackle door that anyone could have ever come up with. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. Oh yeah, and we can also make this reinforced wooden door on both of these doors. With our current fabrication skill and some nails and 2x4s. Eventually we're going to want to do that so that they can't break in through the doors as easily anymore. I think it takes about as long to break through a boarded up window as it does a regular door. These wood walls, I think, are practically impenetrable from my memory. Either that or they're really strong. Unfortunately, it takes 40 nails and 20 boards per wall segment. So that's not going to even be an option for the foreseeable future. And now I just have all of these curtains lying around, doing nothing in particular. They're just a spoon lying in the corner. Now trying to think of... that's another thing, trying to keep track of all of the things that there are to do is a challenge. There. I think now we're much more secure than we were just a little bit ago. And so we can probably actually open up all these doors and feel safe about it. Or mostly safe. Should I reinforce these doors now or later? I think later should be fine. And another thing, do we actually want to disassemble some of these internal doors in order to get the materials to do more external reinforcing? I'm not sure I want to be tearing apart my own house like that. These washing machines, though, I'm not sure I have any actual use for in their current form. But that just took a lot of work, so we're now hungry and thirsty. And our legs are also dissolved by acid, so that's going to need fixed. Just going to get really entirely drunk in order to replenish our hydration. Now this is the price you pay for being hydrated in the apocalypse. I mean in the Cataclysm. Of course, now we have to do more nutrition management. There. Now what? It's nighttime, so we can't really do very much outside. Unless we want to be swarmed by shaded zombies. Oh, I know. Hold on a second. We can read. Wait, do I actually have a reading light? No. There. What should we do first? Hmm. The decisions that must be made. I think this one we should get out of the way quickly, so we don't need to worry about it later. There. So now it's day again. And so we can just go back outside and start doing what we normally do again, finally. Hmm. And the plan before that was... the zombies down here on this street are going to be a big problem. So I need to find a way to deal with those, maybe block up the alleys, or also just destroy the hordes outright. I think before we do any more salvage very far away, we should clear up some of the area around the house. We need to have priorities. Yeah, look at all of this chaos and anarchy nearby. Only a block away. It's something we're going to need to take care of right now, or should take care of right now. We don't need to. Oh, look at this. And there's a bone dog right now. Oh, did you see how that zombie just tore down that, hold on. That paper wall? Hey, I didn't know that it was so easy to destroy. Anyway, I think I have a good plan for taking care of this dog. So I'm going to lure it into a place where it's going to be at a disadvantage. Right here. And then I'm just going to do this. And fortunately it ended very well. Now returning to the normal procedure. Also, not running anymore because that's not something you want to leave on. This is not ideal. Alright, hold on, I can fix this. Oh, and this is also very not ideal. Look at that. In order to deal with that, I'm going to need to do this. There, and now take out the hatchet, open the door, bring them inside, close the door so I can see better in the dark than they can, and begin. And we survived, thankfully. And that one was reanimated. Those you do not want to leave unpulped. Or the spitters, for that matter. Oh, look, another skeleton come to ruin my day. Yeah, see, these ranged weapons are, well, these basic ranged weapons are completely ineffective against them. How long can I keep this up until they overwhelm me? That's the real question here. I don't like how that leg looks. Oh, and we're bleeding, I just noticed. So hold on a second. We don't have anything right now that can deal with that, so going to need to make it back to the house quickly. It resolved itself anyway. But our leg is in poor condition now, so we're going to need to be careful of that. You know, we just need to rest right now. This is too much for the character to handle all in one day. And so these acid zombies, it's better to butcher them than to smash them, because of what they're capable of. I think there was another one up here that I didn't actually finish. Yeah, that one. And so now, that's enough for one day. I don't think we actually salvaged anything while we were out. We need to make more arrows though. Seeing how many we can make. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, that should be enough. And now to rest. Actually, should eat first. There. Rickbert's ability to recover from disaster is amazing, though. Now it's this. Oh, that's nice. Well, it looks like we're going to be having fun for a while. Yes, this is quite possibly one of the worst things to happen, other than actually the zombie infection. And it's also midnight. This is a disaster again, just as I was saying. All of these distractions making it so that it's going to be more difficult for us to do the actual projects. Right, what did I mark this down here for? Oh. Yeah, I don't need this here anymore, do I? Probably not. Also, this one is outdated. There. There's not very much that's safe to do while you have the cold. Although, it's probably not nearly as bad as I'm making it out to be. But look at these degradations of stats. I could take this time to read. Do we have enough food for that? Enough food to last maybe a few more days. Actually, I'm probably going to want to keep that money with me in case I find a vending machine. that has things in it. There's a lot of vending machines that don't have anything left in them, but the ones that do usually have a lot of things left in them. And some places that are likely to have vending machines are, let's see, there's subway stations in town. Well, subway stations are one of the places that have a lot of vending machines, but also, I think, sometimes convenience stores or gas stations. Have I ever actually gone to this electronics store? I don't remember. Actually, if we go to this pharmacy, or any of them, we might be able to find medication for this cold. Oh, here's another place that might. And having this cold actually makes it so that one of our actual advantages of being a fast character is diminished by being slowed down by the cold. And so now we move around at just below average speed, which is terrible. And now the only real advantages we have are fast reading, night vision, and robust genetics, and pack mule. And night vision and pack mule are the only ones that actually take into account on the field. And robust genetics isn't even relevant until late game, at which point it's overpowered. I think we might want to travel at night just this once in order to find food. I'm going to turn on safe mode just in case. I think I remember this being a fast food restaurant. It doesn't look very well stocked. Oh, it's supposed to be a pizza parlor. What kind of pizza parlor only has vegetable pizza in it? It's a disgrace. This doesn't look very welcoming. There's broken out windows and a basement I don't think I've been in yet. Usually houses have a lot of food in the kitchen. Oh, here's a hot plate. That's useful. For later. Right now we're only going to be using fire to cook things. Going to hope smashing that didn't attract anything, which it likely did. Yeah, there it is. No idea what that is, but it's coming. So we're just going to quickly evacuate before that becomes a problem. Not before picking up all of these things. There. And now, that's more food for later. In fact, some of this we can eat right now. And actually, all of those arcade machines down there are going to be very useful to us later for components. I think those there are pinball machines. Those have bearings in them, which can be used with a bullet crossbow. although I don't prefer using crossbows early game because of their reload speed. Oh, this is a strange thing here. I've never been in one of these before. Oh, what's this? Oh, we can make sound with this. Interesting. And that will attract zombies for I don't even know how far around. And that could be very useful once we've finished looting out all of these. Well, look at all of the things here. Yes. Actually, this might be good to use right now, so that we can draw everything away from the areas we want to get to right now. There, I'm pretty sure I activated it, and that's going to... Yeah, that sounded for, I think, 116 tiles in a circle, I think it said. Oh, these lifts here, they're going to be useful later for their lead, for making artificial rounds. That is, if we ever find a way to sustainably produce gunpowder. Which, I'm not sure how we're going to figure that out. This looting run didn't go nearly as badly as I was expecting it to. There. Another disappointing thing is we have this really nice new longbow and all these arrows, but I'm not sure it's a good idea to be clearing out large areas while having the cold. And I'm also not entirely sure how long the cold lasts either. Very concerning. You see, all of the quenching things right now that are not frozen are all alcohols. And so, if you don't want to heat anything up, it's easy to just use that. So like right now, and I think one more before going over. Oh, actually that one went all the way over there. We can investigate those books later when we don't have bigger problems to think about. Let's actually inspect the bicycle to assess the damage again. Oh, they even damaged the frontal frame, as well as the wheel and the saddle. And in order to repair all of that, we need a welder with charges. Does the saddle work the same? Yes. And in order to make a welder, we need definitely an electronics level above 1. That's a given. Hmm. I think I'll think about all of this, and then I'll come back to it later. Perhaps when I'm not so exasperated from all of this.